Good afternoon, welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Hope you guys are well. See, back again. Told you, we're getting back to normal. Okay, enough of me behaving like a bit of a clown. Today we're talking about two absolutely fantastic fragrances that have come into my collection within the last sort of 7 weeks. Two absolutely amazing fragrances that I absolutely adore. Well aware I'm using the word absolutely a lot. I don't know why, but there you go. I think it may be that I watched some Stuart Lee recently and I'm a bit obsessed with him, so you'll probably find some Stuart Lee-isms leeching their way into the video, but hopefully not too many. And basically these are two modern fragrances that are, to me, really, really interesting because they're kind of centered around something called Evernia prunastri, which is a lichen, or a lichen, which we all know as oakmoss. Now, oakmoss has been the backbone of many a fragrance since year dot. Basically, it's like a mossy stuff that grows on trees. It's used in perfumery. It creates, it's a sedative, it's a fixative, but it's also a fragrant smell in itself. And it's been really, really important to perfumery for a long time, up until 2017. When IFRA decided to ban a couple of molecules that were found in oakmoss, which in all intents and purposes made it really, really difficult or impossible to use oakmoss. So if you are looking for a fragrance with real oakmoss in, you have to go back, you have to get vintage bottles, or you have to look at someone like Rogue Perfumery, and this is Mousse Illuminée, which has real oakmoss in it. And the reason being is because Manuel Cross, the guy behind Rogue, has decided that he's going to make non-IFRA compliant fragrances, which, is great. Small independents can get away with that, can do that, but larger houses will really struggle to do that because once you're starting to use materials that IFRA have deemed as a skin irritant or something like that, you're a little bit at the mercy of litigation and stuff like that. So if someone were to have a problem with their skin and a fragrance that has a compound in it that IFRA have deemed unreliable or potentially dangerous, then there's no legal sort of cover, there's no support, there's no sort of cover, as coverage, as I say, that IFRA will provide if you comply to their rules. So, some people will find skin irritation with oakmoss. I think very, very few, but, a lot of people don't, and it just, it's one of those things, isn't it? This sort of blanket banning of a material in some respects protects maybe some vulnerable people, but takes it a lot away from those of us that haven't got a problem with it. But it is what it is. There's no point crying about it, especially when there are two fragrances like this on the market, which obviously aren't using real oakmoss, but they are creating absolutely wonderful fragrances. And I'll show you the first one here. Well, I'll show you them both actually. So this is Evernia from Ormonde Jayne. This came out in 2021. And the nose behind this one, as with so many Ormonde Jayne fragrances, is the wonderful Geyser Schön. Now, on the other the other fragrance is from a company called Kingdom Scotland, and this is called Albaura or Albaura, and there it is. And this has been around for a little while. I've been aware of it. I've tried 3 others from the house, but I hadn't tried this one until fairly recently. And when I did try it, I had to have it. There is some discrepancy over who the nose is behind this. It's either Stephanie Anderson or some people seem to think it's Ewan McCall. I'm not entirely sure. The official notes and stuff that I can find on the website goes with Ms. Anderson. So that's who we'll say is the nose behind this one. But these are very important fragrances to me, and they're very, very beautiful. Now, I'm going to talk about both of them in this video. But I want to make it very, very clear at this stage, although they are both 50ml, they both cost pretty much the same kind of money. They're around £100, £110. I don't prefer either. I love them both. So this is not a competition. It's not a shootout between the two. I just really wanted to bring both of these fragrances to your attention because Ormonde Jayne's a very well-known house, but this one's quite a new one. As I say, it came out in 2021, and not a lot of people are talking about it. I don't think many people have tried it yet, which is a crying shame because this is beautiful. And with the Kingdom Scotland one, not many people talk about the house, and I think that in itself is a crying shame because the fragrances that I've experienced or tried from these guys have been utterly, utterly wonderful. This one being my favourite, but all the others are great. Metamorphic is really, really good, and there's another one, I think it's called Botanical, but I strongly urge you to try them or get a sample set from the house. They are unique, they're individual, they're very, very intricate and interesting, very accomplished perfumes, and really, really rather different. So I can't say enough good things about these guys. So hopefully, you know, you will try some of these fragrances, because you will not be, I mean, it's beautiful, you will not be disappointed. Okay, so I'll tell you what we'll do. We will focus the video, we'll turn the video into two halves, and I'll talk about each of them so we don't get confused, because as I say, this is not a comparison video. This is a video where I'm applauding both houses for making wonderful perfumes. Okay, so first up, we'll have a look at Evernia. I love this. This is very much a geyser. I'm going to spray a little bit now. I'm not actually wearing the perfumes today. I've just come back from work, but it will enable me to spray them both and have a bit of a treat. So I'm actually wearing something different today, but it doesn't matter. This is glorious. Okay, this is absolutely glorious. This is a warm hug, cuddle of a fragrance, which is completely different to the other one. But let me describe this for you by giving you the notes first. So on the top we have bergamot, then we have oak moss, we have orris root, we have cardamom, we have cashmeran, we have rose, we have pink pepper, we have blackcurrant, we have freesia, we have jasmine, we have violet, and we have sandalwood. Now, with all of that going on, it's going to be quite interesting how I end up smelling ambrette in this, because this is such a warm, cozy fragrance. I can really, really pick out more of these notes, you know, some of these notes than all of them, shall I say. And the first thing you'll notice is, if you're a fan of Geyser Schoen like I am, I've got lots and lots of perfumes by him, instantly you can tell it's one of his. There's a slightly sort of DNA signature-y kind of smell to the Ormonde Jayne fragrances, and this has got it in spades. It's gloriously masculine, but soft and cuddly, and I think it's just absolutely wonderful. The moss in this, it doesn't smell synthetic. It obviously is, but it doesn't smell it. It just smells realistic. And the orris root, I mean, it might be an orris root, it might be an orris butter, but it's very, very irisy. And when you've got a little bit of pepper, just making things punchy, the bergamot, if anything, just gives a tiny little bit of citrus. You don't really pick it out as a note in itself. It sort of charges straight into this mossy, slightly spicy from the cardamom, but then it says, for me, it becomes iris with a little bit of fruit, a little bit, some very deft and lightly touches of florals as this fragrance starts heading towards the sandalwood, which to me becomes the major component. It's sandalwood, it's the orris in iris-like form with the moss. They all come together to create this warm cuddle. Obviously there's cashmere in there as well, which just enhances that sort of coziness of it. But it smells very masculine. It's not sharp at all. There's nothing spiky here. It's really, really smooth. It's incredibly appealing. You know, we've all got fragrances. You know, if you're watching this channel, the chances are you have quite a large collection of fragrances. I certainly do. And we all buy fragrances because we like the smell of them. And then somewhere in that decision process of us buying a new fragrance, there comes to that point of, where can I wear it? Who will like this on me? You know, will it smell nice to people around you? That certainly goes through my thought pattern. You know, I've got lots of fragrances that are absolutely despised by everybody I know, and therefore I don't wear them as much as I personally would like to. So if I'm going out, or if I'm going to work or something like that, I want to wear a fragrance that I genuinely love, and one that's going to appeal to people around me. And this does exactly that. This fragrance, as it sits on my skin at the moment, it's wonderful, and it's the kind of smell that I would like to be associated with. I would wear any fragrance in the world that I enjoyed, but if it was a fragrance that nobody else liked, I'd like them to smell this. This is what I would like people's scent memory of me to be, this fragrance, because it's such a, you know, it's such a lovable, I don't know, it's just a cuddle of a fragrance. It's beautiful. The moss is great. Everything about it is great. The way the whole fragrance is blended is very much like a Geyser Schoen fragrance. So you get little hints of everything, but the overall composition is smooth, warm, and cuddly. It's delicious. It's such a delight to wear. It's not, you know, it doesn't really fall into any category. You wouldn't class it as anything that you've smelt before. It's just a wonderful, modern, comfortable fragrance, and I can't say anything more than that really. Performance is good. It's not a massive hitter. It goes on for a very, very long time, but it's office friendly. It doesn't push out too far. It puts you in this wonderful cozy bubble all day. And if anyone gets close to you and gets a whiff of you, they will be enchanted by the smell on you. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. I really enjoy this one. And if you're a fan of the house, you will certainly love it. If you're not, you know, if you don't know too much about Ormonde Jayne and you haven't got No Arbor Voude or you haven't got Montebaco or any of the classics, this is a really good starting point because it's a beautiful fragrance that just shows you how complicated fragrances can be, but all harmoniously singing together. And I hope that makes sense because that's exactly what I'm trying to portray. There's so much going on here, but this warm harmony is what you get. The fragrance just sings and hums around you all day in the most beautiful way. This is very, very highly recommended, and if you can get to sample it, please do, because you will not regret this one. Really good, and it's one I fully expect to hear talked about in the same sort of terms as No Arbor Voude and Montebaco and, you know, the others, because it is that good. It really, really is, and I can't give it higher praise than that. Okay, so let's talk about Albaura from Kingdom Scotland. And I'm sorry about the pronunciation. Bearing in mind I'm pretty much a Scot, this is quite embarrassing. I think it's Albaura. So we'll call it Albaura from Kingdom Scotland. And this, again, is all about moss, but they're calling it this time rock moss. So not maybe oak moss, but it's a mossy fragrance, and for all intents and purposes, it comes across as an oak mossy fragrance. But this is the polar opposite to the other one. This is completely different. I'm going to give it another spray now because there's so much mad stuff going on here. It's just wonderful. It works so well. It's sharp. It's just alive. It's like, wow, you know, where the Ormonde Jayne's all soft and cuddly. This isn't. This is bristling. This is alive. This is edgy. This is fantastic. If we look at the notes, you have rock moss, you have Atlas cedar, you have herbal notes, you have Arctic poppy, you have ice, and you have ambergris. So what you've got is this really sharp, fresh wake up of a perfume. It's almost like a minty green in the opening, but it's got that depth, and it's so clever because it has a little bit of a classic fragrance undertone. You really do feel that you're wearing at times something rather special and rather vintage, you know, like you've discovered a lost Guerlain or something like that, and it's wonderful. But at the same time, it's very much its own thing. This sort of iciness around it is just so refreshing. It's crisp. Every single note in this one is pronounced. They all hum and sing together seamlessly, but you're picking out the more individual notes, and it's so well done. It's absolutely beautiful. And what you'll get is a kind of a classic style modern fragrance that works in all weathers. Now, I was fortunate enough to get this just as we were kind of coming to the tail end of our really hot weather in London, and it was so crisp. It was so refreshing to wear. It was just something I couldn't get enough of. I was grabbing it all the time. You know, there's nothing worse than coming in from work, being really hot, having a shower, feeling all fresh, and then going out in the garden and then feeling like, you know, you've not even had a shower. And that's where this came in, because of that crispness about this fragrance, that freshness. It's just, oh, it was so good. And I've recently taken to wearing it on sort of when I'm doing early shifts. I go out and it's quite cold, and it comes alive then. It's just this sort of blast. It wakes you up. It's just such a great way to start your day. You know, get ready for work and have a really good spray of this one, and away you go, and you will feel amazing. Again, like the other one, it's quite a masculine feeling fragrance, but you know, both will smell amazing on a woman. This in particular, I think, will be amazing on a lady, because it's just got that class to it. Whereas Evernia is quite cuddly and warm and inviting. This one's still inviting, but it's more intriguing. There's more Christmas to it. It's more of a deft perfume, and I love it so much for that. Performance is about the same again. It's quite punchy in the opening. I mean, it's an eau de parfum, so you'd expect it to behave like an eau de parfum, and it does. You know, it sits quite close to the skin, but for a very long time. So if you're wearing it to work, it will certainly get you through a day's work. If you're wearing it out for an evening somewhere special, maybe going to the theatre, or, you know, taking your loved one out for a posh meal, it would be perfect, because it just smells so classy. And because it's so different to anything else, you will never be bumping into anybody that smells the same as you. You know, it's such a unique fragrance. And I mean, I have to say, they both are very unique. You know, they're both beautiful. Absolutely can't say a bad thing about both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop gushing now. There's nothing critical about this review at all. I can't find fault with either perfume, so I can't even say, well, I don't like this and I don't like that, because it's simply not true. I love both of them equally and I adore them so much. And what I really, really hope is, you know, from this video, some people do actually get to try it, because I'm so impressed with both fragrances. So there you have it, a little chat about oak moss and a little discovery of two fragrances that are, you know, using a modern alternative to moss in their own different way to both come out with something truly outstanding. So there you have it. Thank you very much for your time. We will be back ASAP. Obviously I have the, you know, the fabled fall, autumn. Well, it won't even be a top 10 actually. I've got far too many now, so it'll be, I don't know, like 20 perfumes for winter or fall. So it's going to take a little bit of doing, but I promise I will get it out this week. So anyway, I'm waffling like a good one. This is what happens when I come home from work. I'm a little tired. So I'll shut up. I'll leave you to it. Thank you ever so much for your time, and we will see you on the next video. Cheers, thanks, and bye.